I'm Ode. That's Vicky. I'm me. You're you. We are we.
Oh my god, that was so corny.
The You, Me,
Oh my
We
goodness.
podcast. So, hey, Vicky. How are you? Welcome to the You, Me, We podcast. I'm Ode.
I'm Vicky.
And this is episode 75 of the You, Me, We
Wow, we made it to
podcast.
75 episodes.
We in the mid 70s. Ow. Happy to be here. Happy to be here, and as always, to have the conversation. Not happy about the conversation we are gonna have because you don't want to have these kind of conversations. When I was usually we'll name the episodes after we record. So maybe something from the episode will give you an idea of what to name it. But I figured since we're promoting the episodes before we start, we're promoting the live. I needed to put a name on it, and I actually sat there like, what do I name this, right? Mm-hmm. And then initially I thought uncomfortable conversation, and I was like, no, for a lot of us, this isn't an uncomfortable conversation to have.
This is a routine conversation.
It's a routine conversation. That's why you see that it's named comfortable conversation with a little in parentheses for those who it is uncomfortable for. So that's where we're at. But first, Vicky, how are you?
I'm not good.
You're not good. We escaped last week. We took a little break from Jersey and we jumped in the car, grabbed the baby, and shout out to our Airbnb that we stayed at. I'm joking. It was Vicky's cousin's house. Shout out to Pagy and Michael Michael, little Mike, baby Michael, and Jack Jack the dog for hosting us. And as much as we wanted to retreat, that's the word. We stayed plugged in. I described it to myself and to somebody else as I'm not saying it was something you wanted to avoid, but it was like what was that saying? A car crash that you just keep looking at. So as much as I told myself, Facebook and social media is kind of overwhelming, I still checked it every morning. And throughout the day, because to be honest, if you checked it at 8 a.m., when you check it again at 9 a.m., so much has happened, so much has been planned. So yeah, that was my take on like while we were away. I as much as I wanted to unplug, I stayed plugged in because I felt like it was my duty as well.
I deactivated my Facebook. I can't take it. I can't. Like I can digest Instagram more than I can Facebook. Okay. And I think in part is because Facebook is filtered by what you're posting, like the photo or the media that you're sharing, and not so much the comments.
Okay.
Like Instagram, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know anything about social media, but I feel like Instagram brings up things more relevant that you have clicked on in the past, that you not so much as like what's getting the most activity. And I feel like that's what Facebook was doing, and I was very overwhelmed by people's stupidity, and I couldn't take it on Facebook.
Jump right into that. Okay, so we all know what we're talking about. We're talking about just everything going on right now.
I want to say people's opinion, but I think your opinion is stupid, so I call it stupidity.
What started off, this started about a week or two ago, or not even started, I'd say years ago. This started hundreds of years ago. But everything going on outside right now, for a lot of us, for a lot of people, it's tough. There was a radio station. The guy used the word bummer. Like it's a bummer for some people.
Wow, it's such a bummer.
Yeah, it's such a bummer. And funny, the other radio personalities he were talking to clearly kind of in a subtle way kind of called him out on it. Like really, bummer. That's the word you're using. It's tough for some people to have to that this is where we're at right now. I don't want to say where it's come to because that sounds like we shouldn't have gotten here. No, just where we're at right now, and. I'm assuming you read my letter?
Yes.
Okay. So
I came up and hugged you.
Okay. So what's the word I'm looking for? I guess I'm going to be vulnerable. So I had I've been watching it. I've been getting emotional about it, not crying like that, but just it's been weighing heavy on my heart. Yesterday, I wanted to pull out my my DJ equipment just to kind of test some stuff out because I have some events coming up that I'm going to be virtually DJing for a couple of people. So let me download some music. Let me check my equipment. Let me check my levels, check my settings, and I just started playing some music. And Vicky stepped out for a little bit, and I'm playing, I'm vibing, I'm doing my thing, DJing, and Vicky's behind me being a groupie, like, oh my God, you're the best DJ ever.
No, I'm not. I wasn't even in the room.
Groupie status.
Okay, I wasn't even in the room.
But Vicky walked out. She had to go somewhere, which where she went was actually relevant to the conversation that we're going to be having. And I caught myself thrown into a zone, and I forgot what song I was playing at the moment. I think it was a ding dong song or something. I don't know. It's a reggae artist, and I was thrown into a zone, and I just started like dancing on my own, dancing throughout the studio. My eyes started watering. I had to stop and like really like put my hands in my head to kind of catch myself, and my eyes just started watering. I wasn't like bawling, but my eyes just started. I think it all just came down.
It's okay to say that you started crying.
I started crying.
Your eyes started watering.
Salty discharge came from my eye. Anyway, I started crying. I think everything I had been seeing, I had been holding in, everything that I've been feeling just started coming down, and I started crying. And the letter I was referring to is the letter that I wrote to Vicky. It's something that we're doing. Our therapist recommended that I write letters to Vicky and stuff, And in the letter, I ended it with something that I realized not everyone probably has at this moment, which is probably making it harder for others. I thanked Vicky for being somebody that I have that will listen to me, empathize with what I'm feeling, as well as educate me and inform me during this time. I know a lot of people don't have that, and that's probably, for some people, that makes it harder to handle what's going on. And there's so many levels to what's going on right now, so many conversations under the umbrella of what's going on right now. So that was my rant to just kind of get us started. Where do you want to start?
I mean...
and we're going to do our best not to repeat some of the stuff that I'm sure you've just been bombarded with through your social media and through every podcast you've heard. We will keep it.
Here, I don't think that we're trying to speak on the facts of anything.
Because we don't know.
Because we don't have the facts of certain things, and I don't want to be one of the people that I become frustrated with, which is sharing information fully based on assumption. Which I have been guilty of that myself. And I think that I feel like because I'm doing a better job at catching it, I can also catch it when other people are doing, and then I get as irritated with myself as I would with someone else. I feel like it's really hard, and I was actually having this conversation with a group of friends. How it is, in my opinion, harder to understand for some reason people of color that are not black.
So it's hard for certain people to understand what's going on?
To
or why,
be able, yeah, like I feel like for some reason they're having this disconnect is like, it's a huge disconnect, and I've been sitting back like, why are you so disconnected? Like, fine, you don't identify as a black person, but you are also not a white person. So you are a person of color. You just, whatever you identify as, whatever. And it has been frustrating because I just feel like I'm such a simple person. Like I am not this like super smart person that has all these like, that I can do multiplication like super fast in my head, or I can like memorize things on sight or stuff like this.
I'm not one of those geniuses that can count.
Simple ass brain can put these things together. I feel like everyone should be able to put these things together. Like I feel like I am just so basic. And so it is very frustrating for me to see people that aren't able to piece the obvious together, or like, and I think that a lot of my frustration comes from the resistance of reality. Like, why are you resisting about what's really there? Like, it's there. Why are you resisting so hard? Or why are you being so tone deaf? Like, why are you saying things like, this is the right way to do it? Like, that, let me tell you, that,
Go ahead.
it would,
I was trying to avoid Vicky getting
like,
here, but
my
go
head
ahead.
would be like, like, what do you mean, what is the right way?
Yeah.
And, I was having this discussion with my cousins, and that was one of the expressions that was used, that, this isn't the right way.
Shout out to the family, gang gang.
And it took me back to when I got called out for that.
Okay.
In a way, not in reference to this, but I got called out for I remember I was on the step team for my sorority, and we would have step practice. And not only was I the person that could not learn anything you taught me in that moment, because I just did not have that capability. I would have to record you, and then I could take it home, and I would drill it until I got it, and then I'd show up, and I'd have it, though. And I remember there was a new step being taught, and I was like, oh, I don't like that step. And the person turned to me and was like, do you have an alternative? And I was like, no. And they were like, okay, so why don't we moving forward, unless you have an alternative that is equal or better, you keep that to yourself. Because you're not doing anything but taking away. You're not adding. You're not replacing, and you're not adding value. You're just taking. You're just bringing things down. And it just, that always stuck with me, because it's so true. What do I have to offer if it's just a critique, or an opinion? Like, if I have nothing to contribute to a conversation, to push it forward, what do I have? What am I getting at by just critiquing? And that brings me to people saying, like the whole thing about, oh, this isn't the right way, this isn't the right way. Like, okay, so if you feel like it's not the right way, what is the right way? Don't just tell me it's not the right way. What's the right way? Exactly what is the right way? Mm-hmm. Because I'm pretty sure that and this is in regards to like the looting and the rioting, which I don't agree with that. I don't know anyone who agrees with destroying a community, but I'm also not going to police
someone who's angry and
angry
hurt.
people.
Yeah, and I just I purposely said hurt too.
Yeah.
Because it's not just anger; it's a hurt that has been building up for generations.
And I don't know who the looters are. I don't know if they're just opportunists. I don't know any of that. And so because of that, I feel like I don't have anything of value to contribute other than a critique in that sense. Mm-hmm. And when I was having this discussion with my cousins, I kept saying, like, I don't care what happens in other towns. And I think what I was trying to communicate was that I don't care to the point where I want to sit here and talk and judge the way that things are being handled in other cities. Critique and all that. I don't care to that point. I care what's happening. I care about everything that's happening, but I don't care enough to sit here and talk about what's happening over there when there's nothing that I can do from here. Like the conversation we're about to have does not benefit what's happening right now over there. And so,
but because you're here,
because I'm here, the conversation that I want to focus on and the one that I want to have is the one nearest to me. What's going on in my town? What can I do in my city? Whatever. Like, that's what I want to focus on. But like, what people are choosing to do in the Bronx, which we all heard, like, things were going down in the Bronx. What people are choosing to do in the Bronx, me sitting here in my house and talking about, that's not the right way, those people, whatever. And like all these critiques about what's happening, I bring nothing of value to the table. I can take what's happening, learn, like, oh, damn, you know what, whatever, take my stance on it, and then turn around and apply it to my community, the one that I belong to, the one that I'm invested in, that I bought a home in, that I'm raising my child in, that my family's in. So I feel like that's the most productive way for me to navigate this. But I can't sit here, and I don't know how anyone else can sit here and say that's not the right way. Like, okay, so what is? And if you have it, go over there and give them the answer. If you know that's not the right way, if you in your heart feel it's your right way, go over there and share with them what is the right way so that we can do this the right way. Like, I even, like, tauntingly, I did message someone, like, hey, Mr. Right Way, because they were like, we're going to do this the right way. Like, hey, Mr. Right Way. And immediately,
What time are you heading out?
Yeah, like, yo, since you got all the answers, you know, give me the answer to this. And I just feel like this is such a, it's such, obviously, this is all very sensitive, right? Because we're talking about, I don't know how to phrase this correctly, but we're talking about everybody's lives. Like, everybody's lives is at stake. Whether you are out there in the streets or you're not, whether you're black, white, Asian, Latino, whatever, everyone's affected because everybody, I feel like everybody's community or someone knows of someone in a community that is just like in an uproar or soon to be. And I just feel like there's a lot of people asking others, like, yo, we need to pray on this. We need to whatever. Like, yo, we're past that. So if people are deciding, like, yo, we're past that. I don't want to talk, pray, preach. I don't want to hope. I don't want to wish. I'm past that. I can't sit here and tell them, like, yo, you shouldn't do that in your town that I have nothing to do with because I don't live there and I don't pay taxes there and I don't do anything there other than sit at home and judge everything the way that you're living all the way over there.
But I am watching you being inspired by or just learning from
Yeah. Like, and then it's another thing too, like, yo, we can't police people's pain. I do, however, like, if I see someone like, yo, they're whatever to their own community, like, yo, looters are looters, dogs. Protesters and demonstrators are that. They're not the same person. Like, we need to keep calling them out exactly for what they are. And using those terms synonymously is how the message gets mixed up. Like, words are important. Back then, I didn't think that words were important. I thought words were words, and it is what it is. You understood what I said, but words are so important. Words are so important, and so if we synonymously unite these words, of course, the message is gonna get lost. And I do feel like there is an agenda to make that happen, to be like, you know, protesters is just a nice way to call rioter, or it's a nice way to call looter. Like, no, it's what they are. They're protesting against something, and like, there's just a lot of arguments on social media that honestly I feel if I see you hashtagging some shit, I just delete you. Like, I'm past the point where I'm like, yo, that's not right. Like, we shouldn't do that. I'm past that. I'm just like, yeah, we're not the same.
We are not the same.
We are gonna unfollow.
I gotta get a soundbite of "we are not the same"
because I can't do that. Oh, I can't do this one either. Oh, no. Can't
something
do this one either.
Something you said, and I'm sure I've said this before, made me think of one of the reasons why I feel like I broke down and cried yesterday. It's a feeling I always get during this time. And thanks to several individuals that posted things that kind of reassured me that, one, I'm not alone, as well as I shouldn't let this feeling overtake me. That feeling of what is my role during this time? Right?
Yeah, like, everyone has a different role.
Yeah. I want to say it might have been, I think it was either Vince, a good friend of ours, or a good friend of mine from high school, Janoy, who I believe posted something similar to that and just showed all the different roles people are playing. There are those who are out in the front line risking it all. Mm-hmm. There are those who are sharing information via social media, via their circles that they're in, via their family. There are those who are the ones who are having the important conversations with the right people or the people who need to hear certain things. But everyone had a different role, because I always struggle with that. Like, what's my role? I know I am not, again, I applaud anyone who's on the front lines of this. That's not me. Because I want to shout out a good friend of mine, Jess. Shout out to Jess, and I forgot her company name, but Get Gorgeous, GAWJESS, free plug. I'm gonna send you an invoice, Jess. Anyway. Jess, she posted, she goes, hey, I'm a mom, and I want to make sure I can come home to my child. So she was like, guys, I'm not going to be out there. So don't judge me on that. I support the cause. I'm not going to be out there. That's not me. I'm afraid to get arrested. I'm afraid that I won't come home to my child. I'm afraid I might die. That's not me. But I know Jess for years, she's always been about, equality and about uplifting fellow people of color, black people, Latinos, everything. And I know I've struggled with that, and I always kind of fall back on, okay, you work in higher ed, you work with some amazing young black men, and not to toot my own horn, but you have played an important role in the lives of many young black men who are now leaders and are now doing the same thing. So that you are doing your part. Continue to do your part. My other my other colleagues and friends in higher ed who might have that same struggle that I usually have, that I always have, I want to share that with you. You are doing your part. You have been doing your part. Keep doing that and be genuine about it. So that's been something I've struggled with. And some of the people I work with, like April, a colleague of mine who just came in the chat, she's another individual that I know. She is doing, if she ever had that struggle of, am I doing my part? No, she's raising a strong young black queen. She's doing her part, you know? And she's always promoted the culture. So that's one thing I've kind of been struggling with, and I realized it added to me breaking down yesterday. And it just, again, trying my best to unplug, but I'm looking at every video. I'm looking at every post. I'm hate following this one Facebook group that I'm in because
yeah.
Anyways, it's I agree with you where it's not my place to tell people how to be angry. It's not my place to tell you how to be hurt. It's not my place to tell. Also, it's not my place to tell people who are criticizing that how they should feel. Go ahead. You feel how you feel. Just don't take away from my pain. Don't try to cheapen my hurt, my pain, my anger, my confusion. Don't take away from that.
I think that, okay, so a part of me deactivated Facebook because
you ain't about that life, son.
I could not handle how much restraining I had to do. I don't know if anybody's like this, but I am a person that if I feel compelled to say something, I'm going to say something. I don't stay quiet. It has been the reason why I have, been punished and been yelled at,
punched in the
face.
A
fight or two. It's always been one of the reasons. But, and I know that. And I fought against that. And when I fight against it, I'm not even telling you, I have such a massive headache. I physically, it just overcomes me. Like, I start to have a headache. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't do anything.
Like,
I can't
I didn't get
concentrate.
to curse anybody out today.
Like, it's just very frustrating. So I had to get off of Facebook because when I was so compelled to say something, but I just didn't feel like, why do I have to deliver the message politely because you're a fucking idiot? I can't do that.
Okay.
Why do I have to be polite and you're the idiot? Like, why do I have to hold your hand because you're a tone deaf asshole? That's not, like, why do I have to do that? That's not fair. So I was just like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna turn off my Facebook. I have to admit to myself, I can't take this. I can't handle this, and I need to step away. But people that are saying, incorrect things, I feel like someone does need to say it to them. Because, I did tell one girl, and she hit me back with, I didn't ask you for your opinion. And I was like,
get these opinions.
I was like, whoo, God, I think it's time for me to go from Facebook because I will search her house here in Perth Amboy. I will search for her. I will get her house address. And applause to me. I did not engage.
You didn't go to her house.
Yes, I didn't go to her house, but I did search her. And I just.
So if need be.
So I did not go to her house. I did not engage.
Yet.
And I kind of just fell back on that. But it was just like a taste of what I was in for, because people are so relentless about they're not racist, but I'm not racist, but
once you add that,
and it was one of those like, oh nah, we can't do this. Like I can't handle that, and so I had to step back and thinking. Now that I'm a mom, it's a lot more personal.
You're welcome.
For me, because I have a black son, and I can't. Well, you're an adult. Like, I'm talking about, like, Khalil can't defend himself if somebody says something nasty to him. You could defend yourself. Khalil can't. I'm talking about Khalil, like, he can't. I'm thinking about, like, when he's older and someone says some nasty shit to him. I can't make promises that I'm going to handle that like an adult. Like, I really am going to have to be like, yo, I need you to get in the car, put your head between your legs, and don't look up until daddy comes to the car.
I just know that mommy loves you.
And know that mommy loves you, and she'll be with you when she'll be with you
in 12 to
15 years. Like, I know that I don't have that. I don't have that. And I applaud all the mothers that have had to face that with their kids. Like, I can't imagine, you know, and we were talking about this the other day. Like, I can't imagine coming from a country, right, where everyone kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
Right? And then you come to this melting pot of America, and now people hate you, and you have no idea why. People are scared of you, and you have no idea why. I can't imagine what that must feel like, and then to have children. So to not only worry about yourself, your husband or your wife or whatever, now you have to worry about your innocent children that you have to burst their bubble while other kids get to pretend play in a fantasy world until they're like 30 years old because they're so tight under their mom's bubble wrap of life. But other kids at 5 years old, they got to sit them down like, listen, this is what racism is. Yeah. That's not right. And I that breaks my heart. And that breaks my heart that I have to consider now, like, yo, we need to get you a dash cam in your car.
What's funny
we need to get Kalel. Like, Kalel is not, like, for real, it's like, oh my goodness. Remember the conversation that you would always taunt me with? Oh, when Kalel brings a girl to the house, like, no, he won't. No, he won't, because the first girl, the first whatever he brings to the house,
the first whatever,
it will be the most traumatic experience, and news will spread that Kalel's mom calls the police. Like, sir, you need to get off my property. I don't know you, and I don't want people up in my house that I don't know. I need a form from their parents saying that they're allowed to be here, and then I only want them to stay wherever cameras are, because he is so, he's my son. We're going to
live stream every visit to the house.
Every visit. I'm going to be like, here is the login. Watch your child while I watch my child and your child. Yeah. You know, like, it's just, I'm in such panic mode because I don't want that life for my son. And that is the things that I have to consider now. I didn't have to consider that. So, and then this is another thing we were talking about. The privilege that I have of straddling that fence.
What do you mean?
So...
Are you about to
Obviously, I'm not white.
About to get offensive?
No.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, I'm not white. But to most people, they consider me not black. So I do straddle that fence of, I have some privilege, but depending on how I wear my hair, I won't have it. So when I did the yarn braids on my hair, I got a taste of how people just hate black people for no reason.
You got time to dig into this a little more?
Huh?
You got time to
to explain?
Peel back a little bit for those who might not initially grab what you're...
Okay, so for example, and I remember I was talking about this. I shared this on Incultured Co., which is an Instagram page for Haitian and Dominican unity. How I was wearing yarn braids and I was getting my nails done. I went into the nail salon. And I just asked the girl. She actually started speaking to me in English, so I just went along with it. And I'm getting my nails done, and the yarn braids, I had them in for a while, so they did look like dreadlocks, like twisted locks. That's what they look like. So I'm sitting there, and the nail person next to her, just starts talking so much about me, about how dirty I look, in Spanish, okay. About how dirty I look, how dirty I am, how I must not care for my future, how unpresentable I am. Like, oh, look at her, she's disgusting. Like, I don't know how those people could wear their hair like that. That's so disgusting. Imagine how many times she even washes that. That must smell like shit. Like, I mean, the girl went in for like an hour. Now, and again, credit to myself.
You're Dominican.
I'm Dominican. We're all Dominican.
Everyone in the area, in the store.
I'm Dominican. The girl that's doing my hair is Dominican, and the girl sitting next to her, who's the one that's talking about me, is also Dominican.
Okay.
When I walked in, the girl who was doing my nails started talking to me in English. I just went with it. I at no point said anything in Spanish.
And then as she was talking...
as the girl was talking about me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to pretend that I have no idea what she's saying. So I'm just going to like look around and look up just to see exactly what it is that she just needed to get off her chest about me, who she's never seen before and was just talking crazy about me. And the girl's like and the girl doing my nails just keeps like looking up at me, like very quietly, just looking up at me. She's not entertaining her. She's not engaging her. And she's just going. This was in Perth Amboy, by the way. And damn, should I blast that nail salon? No, because the girl's not there. Not because of me. I didn't make no complaint. And when the girl was done with my nails, I said in Spanish, should I pay here or should I pay at the front in Spanish? And I made sure that my Spanish was as Dominican hick as possible because I wanted homegirl to know, like, sis, I want you to know that I understood every single thing you just said about me.
And that's when the Ghanaian funeral music started coming on?
Yeah, that would be the dun, 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 dun. And the girl kind of like, her eyes just opened. And the girl who was doing my nails was like, I knew it. She's like, I knew you were Dominican. There's something in your face. Like, I just knew you were Dominican. I knew you were Dominican, which is why she kept looking up at me. Like, every so often she would look at me and then look back down. And then I kind of just leaned over the table and I told her, like, listen, I have somewhere to be that I absolutely cannot miss. But when I come back, if you're here, I have bail money set to the side for people like you. And I will gladly clean this nail salon and this main street. It was on Smith Street and Smith Street with you. But you're so like, I literally cannot miss where I'm about to go. And I just walked out. And literally within like the same amount of time, I was walking downtown. I was going to Rite Aid. A guy just standing outside his store. He called me a black bitch. I don't even know him. I was just walking past him, and he was like, fucking black bitch. I'm like...
You ain't telling me about this?
I'm like, what the hell? Well, I couldn't tell if he was homeless or, like, if he was just, like, having, like, a mental episode. But that just goes to show you. You know, I've been followed in stores because they thought I was black. Literally, the store owner was like, oh, I thought you were black. Oh, okay. Oh, that makes it okay. Oh, okay. Don't worry about it. You just followed me for 20 minutes. Don't worry about it.
Because that comes with the territory, so I totally understand.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
I was just like...
My apologies for confusing you.
Like, I was like, yeah, I'm not buying anything here. Like, so that's what I'm saying. I had that privilege. I have that privilege of straddling that fence, especially here in Perth Amboy, because it's not a majority white community. It's a majority Latino, specifically, I feel like Dominican and Mexican community. And I do have that privilege of, you know, I'm not white, but they don't consider me black kind of thing. But outside of the bubble of Perth Amboy, I'm just a black person who speaks Spanish. Like, I know how people see me. I don't have a problem with it. And I think that I needed to get out of Perth Amboy to see that, because when I went to college, first of all, I didn't know what minority was. People kept saying minority in college, and I'm like, a minority of what? I don't know what that means. Because I grew up in a bubble. I lived in that bubble world where there's no such thing. Most of my life I have been part of the majority. I don't know what you're talking about to me right now. And it wasn't until I went to college that it was like, sis, you see that 2% table right there? Have a seat. Have a seat. So and a lot of people don't, and I feel like Latinos have a hard time because they don't want to acknowledge they are the straddlers of that very same fence. That you straddle that very same fence. And so you feel you are not them, but you are. You're not them in the bubble that you live in, but you are outside of the bubble. And so it's hard for me to see my people not supporting what's happening right now, and instead like judging, criticizing, condemning, which is hypocritical, because in the 90s, we rioted, we looted because one officer killed one Dominican man, and we tore up Uptown, you know, like, so I just, it's very hard to be, for myself, this is one of the hardest times, because it's like, how do I show solidarity and not leave my people behind? Because y'all so ignorant. I don't want you to stay there. I want to help you, but I also want to curse you out on the way. Like, I want to tell you, like, you're being so freaking stupid about this, but I need you to hold my hand because we're walking that way, because this is where we need to be, because we're here, not over there. We're not in a separate crew. We're in this one, okay? And imagine, I grew up in a high school where it was like Dominicans versus blacks. It was a big thing. And then, of course, I leave Perth Amboy. I'm in college. I'm having a conversation with a Haitian girl. She was like, hold up. So you telling me black people are fighting with black people because of blackness? I'm like, no. It was Dominicans versus blacks. And she's like, so black people
He's like,
were fighting black people over blackness.
Said.
Yeah. And she was like, so the English-speaking black people versus the Spanish-speaking. And when she broke that down to me, I was like, damn, yo. I need you to come back to my town and say this.
Where do you see us in 3 weeks? Where do you hope to see us?
I hope to see, it's hard because what we need is police reform.
Mm-hmm.
And oh no, Vicky said police and she must be anti-cops. Oh my God. Which is so annoying because if that is your ultimatum, then I can't help you in that. I need you to drown in your own ignorance and stupidity.
It really does suck that because I'm realizing a lot of my friends have posted it too, where people who are open to having an open conversation, they're open to having a back and forth till we get to the end of the conversation. Doesn't have to we get to an agreement, but we get to the end of the conversation and we keep going about our business. Seeing those people have to engage with people who, unless you're saying exactly what they believe in, what they're thinking, the conversation is going to hit a wall and it's going to stop right there. That's the hardest thing to see. I have a friend who I saw her or a Facebook friend. I saw her post that, hey, a friend of mine, him and I got into a back and forth last night and it went great. We literally talked until we got to a conclusion where we agreed to disagree on certain things. We found out we were saying the same thing on certain things, and that was great. But then under that, you'll see somebody who just somebody will say, like you said, somebody will say we need police reform, and then under that will just be a bunch of people.
Well, you know what? When you're in trouble, don't call them when you need them.
Yeah.
What?
You know what? You know what that is? You know what that is?
What?
You know what that is? Hold on. I'm gonna jump back to our therapy session. I think that's the ABC. I'm gonna butcher this whole thing. That's the ABC. That's them with their
assumptions.
Their assumptions and their
beliefs.
No, what's the other words for A? The certain thoughts, the assigned thoughts or something like that that they already kind of have. That without you even saying it, I'm already formulating responses. I'm formulating reasons.
Yeah,
I'm formulating things you're gonna say. I think that in my head you said them already.
Yeah, and like it's weird, right? Because they're like, oh, you're for police reform, so you're anti-cops. Like, wait, no, I'm for cops who want to do right by their community. Who in their right mind would be against that? But do we remain delusional and not admit that there's a lot more than a few bad apples, dude. There's bad apples and then there's good apples. And there's a lot of bad apples. And the good apples are being punished because they're the way that the police departments are being set up is to support even bad apples. That's the problem. Because sometimes, like, I don't even want to say, like, when people are like, oh, you're anti-cops, like, yo, and I hate to be this person, like, but I have friends that are cops. Like, I value their job.
Yeah.
I love them dearly. I never want them to get hurt. I don't see them as the enemy because of their choice of profession. I want a better work environment for them where they know that there's not a community set to go against them, where they're not going to be met with tension because people see them as someone that's just trying to resolve a problem, not as someone that's trying to entice one, because that's how communities are seeing them now. I want a safe work environment for them and a supportive work environment that rewards and applauses good cops for being good people, for caring who they're policing, no matter what people look like, no matter where they come from, no matter the different language that's spoken in the town. So I want a better world for them and us. Like, why can't I want both? Like, I think of my friends in higher, I have local law enforcement friends, I have state level friends, I have Port Authority friends, I
got military friends,
like, I don't want to see
people that work in the government,
like,
on that level,
But we can't just turn a blind eye and say, oh, no, it's just a few bad apples. Like, nah, B, we passed that. It's not a few. It's like cases now.
It's
It's
a few
just like,
bad trees.
Yeah, in a whole forest, we have a
apple tree?
section
Yeah, apple
of
tree, yeah.
mad apple trees that is just rotten to the core. Rotten.
Yeah.
And by treating their poison, we are in turn poisoning all the trees. That's how I feel. I just it's really hard for me. What is hard for me is digesting this as a mother of a black child, as the significant other
As a
of
roommate
a
male.
black man.
Okay.
It's scary for me. It's scary when Ode's out, and those are the thoughts that I have to have now. Like, yo, Ode, where you gonna be driving? Yo, call me every 10 minutes to make sure that you're okay. Like, oh damn, Ode doesn't have a dash cam. Yo, we need to get him a dash cam because he's a black guy, not because he's a threatening looking black guy, whatever the hell that means.
Talking about, son.
Ode, be quiet.
Talking about.
You know, like he's not rude, he's not whatever, but it's not about how you present, right?
Matter.
It's about how people perceive you, and
you can't control that.
And you can't control that. And it's just it's a scary time. And for me, one of the hardest is holding my tongue, because boy oh boy, I be wanting to set off. Controlling my tongue and thinking of what I do now, how will it bounce back on you guys? So like, there's a protest coming up in my town, and at first I was like, I'm not going, because I don't want to put myself in that kind of situation. But I feel like I have to go. I feel like I have to go for you and Kalau, but I need both of you to stay home. Like, I feel like in my town, I have that privilege.
I ain't got no money to bail you out, just so you know.
I got the money. I'll leave you the card.
I was just gonna throw your wealth at me.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I have to go. I have the means to get myself out, should need be. But I can't have you guys there because, and for me to acknowledge, I have that privilege. I have that privilege to feel safe at a protest, with people that look like me, and being able to say, "Yo, hold my card in case I call you and come get me out." That is all a privilege that I fully acknowledge, and I feel like because I have that privilege, I should go out there and take a stance.
So you know,
more than just a vocal or monetary one that I'm giving. If I have that ability to do it, I feel like I should go out and do it. So, but it's still very scary because you just don't know the unknowns. You don't know.
What's funny is I don't know if you noticed, we had an Amazon delivery. Like, I don't have a dash cam, but I do have a GoPro that
I did see your Amazon delivery. Was it just a stool?
Everyone? Oh no, it was something else. Usually when I'm traveling, I do gigs in North Carolina, other places where I'm traveling for a little bit, Maryland or whatever. Usually I'll mount like my GoPro, or I'll make sure my phone is charged, or I'll mount my GoPro on my dash. But I wanted a different mount. And actually, those two little boxes that came were two new.
The mounts that you got.
There were two new mounts, one for my car, one for your car.
Because boy, oh boy.
So that way I can put my GoPro back up. Because, and I said for your car as well, because as we've seen, it's not just the black men.
No, it's anyone that's not.
It's our black women who are also being.
It's anyone that they feel that they can take advantage of, depending on where you are. And someone on Instagram was like, there shouldn't be bad apples in the police profession. Think of pilots flying planes. Like, you imagine you imagine a pilot going like,
"Yo, heard that example.
70% of our pilots like to safely land, but we have about 30 to 25% that they just like slamming into mountains." Like, I'm sorry, what?
Hopefully, you just won't be on that plane.
Yeah, we hope, and if you are, just remember to follow the rules. Don't resist. Don't get crazy.
Yeah.
And things may turn out for the better, but you're still going to fly into that mountain.
And remember to always fly.
Have a safe flight.
I was going to say a random airline, but I was going to be not.
And it's true. There shouldn't, and there should. And that's what police reforms is too, like setting up so that, okay, from here on out, you have to be able to be A, B, C, whatever. Listen, I have suggestions on my own, kind of like, I think all police officers should have a bachelor's degree in a program catered for becoming a police officer. I think all police officers should carry personal liability insurance, because insurance company will be like,
all your secrets right now, Vicky.
Insurance company will be like, yo, one more, and no insurance company will pick you up unless you pay us $5,000 a month to insure you for you to be able to be employed. Like, I think things like that, where people will be like, yo, because think about car insurance. Yo, if I get in one more car accident, I can't drive my car. I can't afford it. Insurance company won't pick me up. So it needs to be like that. Like, it needs to be something that will just like deter people right now, the bad seeds that are already in. It will deter them from jumping so far ahead into pretending they saw something that wasn't there, or like feeling so threatened. Like, they'll be like,
you might still be a piece of shit.
I'm going to go by the book on everything that I do, so that if it comes to that point, I have crossed off all 250 items on this damn list so that I am not held liable and my insurance won't shoot up. That's what needs to be in place. But I do believe that they should all carry bachelor's degrees. I do. I'm not saying books. I do believe books have the answers, but I'm not saying that a higher education has all the answers. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying there is a certain exposure within your program, within your bachelor's program, that you cannot avoid having, that does force your mind to start to crack open. And I think it's the interaction of other people from all over the state, from all over the world, that are in this class with you, giving all these different opinions. It forces your brain to kind of like start shifting left and right and thinking of new things. And that's why I think there should be a college program in place, whether it's like 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. There should be a degree that you have to earn, where you go through the classes that teach you racial sensitivity, how to treat the community, how to whatever, where you can highlight all these cases. Listen, as a business major, I had to go through all the trifling things all these companies did with their accountants, okay? I had to learn about all these trifling accountants and those companies that came tumbling down and tore everybody up in 2008. I had to learn all of that. So if I have to learn it as a business person and learn the acceptable accounting principles and all of that, so should you, as someone who is policing the community with a deadly weapon. I think that people should be, but you know what? I am in no program. Those are my 2 cents as far as criticism goes. Here's where I think that we can push forward in making something better.
So you're saying maybe at minimum an associate degree at a community or county college?
I think that would be great, because
Cheap plug.
A bachelor's, obviously, these schools think that everybody's made with gold.
So
gold bars to
my hope is that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, in a perfect world, the next 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 days, we continue to be heard. There's some more organization. Everything just kind of comes together somehow. To be a little more organized, so that the voice is louder. Because as the days go by, we're gonna slowly but surely get more organized.
Okay, Alexa, stop.
Right? Because I'm seeing certain people who are serving as voices pop up in different areas, in different states, in different cities,
Alexa,
which I'm thinking.
Stop.
I'm seeing Alexa's like being disrespectful right now. I'm seeing certain voices pop up different areas, so that means we're getting a little more organized, because the organization that they might have in, like, prime example, a good friend of mine, Keisha Yuri from she does a lot of community work in Newark. I saw her. She was at the Newark marches and protests, and then I think they had one in Patterson. Keisha was there, so I'm seeing some of the voices spread. So I'm hoping within the next 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 hours, in the perfect world, that's what continues to happen. And at some point, for my children, for our children's children, they are able to walk around with less fear. They're able to walk around with a more positive outlook. They don't have to worry about whether or not the Amazon package with their new dash cam mount came in, because they have to have it.
I know, my God, that breaks my heart. Where their crazy ass mom doesn't have to have a child come back with a parent consent form that they could be in my house, because it's all about liability. Let me create the veils of liability for my son, for a black boy. I just, there's certain things that are just not gonna fly in my house, because I want to protect them from that. From anyone doing anything stupid that could put his life in danger, because in turn, my son's life is in danger. It equally puts your own life in danger. Whoever put his life in danger, your life has just been in danger, because there's just something in me. I don't even want to talk about it, because that's a liability thing. But I'm just saying, we've got to a point where we just have, I don't even know how to word it, because I feel like I'm just gonna start dropping mad F-bombs everywhere.
And this is a PG family show. Let's end it on this. Again, I want to repeat for those of you who you may not be out there on the streets during the day, during the night, protesting, marching, but you are in some way helping the cause. So continue to
show your alliance.
Continue to show your alliance. Continue to, and I'm talking to any and everybody, black, white, Latino, whatever, wherever you're from, because this is international now. You know.
Yeah.
Continue to raise your black children. Continue to support your black friends. I'm saying support. And I'm not saying pity them.
Don't
I'm
pity them.
Some things
don't
that come off as pity, and we don't want your pity.
Yeah.
We want you to support.
It's like, once again, we're not asking to be isolated and treated differently. We're asking to be treated equally. Yeah, like how you get treated is how I want to get treated. You as a person of privilege.
And be genuine about your actions. And that's for everyone. Be genuine about your actions. Continue to spread the word amongst your friends, amongst your circle, amongst your family.
Take a stand when you see that you have the privilege to do so.
Yeah, no matter who you are. You know. So continue to do that, and you are a part of it. You are a part of it in some way.
If you are alive right now in this country, you are a part of it, whether you want to admit to it or not.
And for those
you just have to choose.
And for those of you who are out there, be careful, be safe, continue, don't stop. We appreciate everything you're doing. And even for those of you who are, what's the word I'm looking for? Chronicling, logging this.
Be safe.
Providing us with those visuals that are inspiring us and motivating us and keep us informed. Same to you. Be safe. We appreciate you.
And also, just because I had to do it with deactivating my Facebook, if you have to step back. Yeah. You are not helpful to anyone if you yourself are falling apart. Like you have to make sure that you are mentally being able to digest what you are seeing. I couldn't be honest with yourself. It doesn't make you weak. It actually makes you stronger to be like, yo, I can't handle that. Yeah. To step away and be like, I am more of a resource in this way. It's okay to do that, and make sure that you do that. Make sure that you limit how much of it you're taking in. Make sure that you're taking in breaks to remind yourself. You know, give yourself that little speech from the poop pie, shit pie movie. What? Where the maid made the pie and it was shit.
Oh, the
was
help.
That quote?
The help.
The help.
The poop pie, shit pie movie.
That quote that she tells the little girl to say to herself all the time. Like, tell that to yourself every day in the morning. Like, whatever's going to lift your spirits during such a dark time, do it. And then jump in where you left off. But don't feel like you have to drain your mental peacefulness if you're at home. Like, you can step away, take a break, come back, and keep going.
So, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the You, Me, We podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.